Hi, I'm Yonadan, director of the Club of Ugly Children here in the Netherlands. It would be great if I could have been with you, but because of Corona, of course, it's a lot more difficult at the moment. A long time ago, 7 years ago, my producer came to me with a book called The Club of Ugly Children. And he said, "This is really something for you." And at first I thought he was joking, because he said, well, the Club of Ugly Children, that's a club for you. But in the end, it really was a book for me, because I started reading and I saw this big tale about a boy struggling with his own appearance, but also struggling with the society, thinking that he doesn't belong in the society. And I think the Club of Ugly Children is such a beautiful metaphor that we decided to make a movie about it. The Club of Ugly Children is a very political movie. You will be seeing a lot of references to politics from nowadays, but also stuff from the Second World War. So very important historical moments are symbolized in the film, but in its heart it's also an adventure movie. Because that's what we think is important, especially in these times where there's already so much going on in the world, that you also can sit back, relax and enjoy a film. So sit back, relax, enjoy the fact that you're in a cinema, even that is special nowadays, and go on an adventure with all these ugly children. Of course, the biggest reference novel for us is The Club of Ugly Children, the book. But the production design is really based on other stories, like 1984, where there's a constant government watching you and spying on you, seeing every step you make. And The Handmaid's Tale, which is an adult series, which is also like gray, white, black, like all the colors that we use in the film. And that's also a metaphor for a fascist regime. And that's what's happening in the Club of Ugly Children as well. There's a president who says, you are not allowed to be who you want to be. And this very angry political view has he covered with the happy phrase, clean up. Because clean up is a good thing. Everybody should clean up their room and the streets should look beautiful. But in the end, he's just trying to strip the country from its personality. And that's what we're trying to show in the production design. The fact that this whole gray world, it looks nice, the buildings are great, everybody lives in an apartment, but in the end, it's all very sterile. There's not a place where you can actually be yourself, express yourself. Everybody should be according to the structure that the government has decided for you. And for us, clean up was the reference word that took that into, that summarized that actually. It's great that you think that the ugly kids are cute and characteristic, because like I said, we wanted to create a world where everybody loses his personality. And the people who don't belong in the world are actually cute and characteristic, because they have character. They are different. We didn't want to take a stand in what is ugly and what is beautiful, because that's an opinion. There's a president who just says, you don't belong here and you do belong here. We in the Netherlands did a casting and we actually said, the Club of Ugly Children movie is searching for ugly children. And parents went mad, because they said, there's no such thing as ugly children. But ask a child and he will tell you who is ugly from his friends or from his enemies. That's the thing. Everybody has his own opinion, and that's also a good thing, right? So we wanted you to think during the movie, are those ugly kids really ugly, or why are they actually in the bus? It's just because somebody decided that. There's a lot of references to the Second World War. Even in the painting store, where if you look carefully you can only buy white, black and grey paint, there's this turning door. And in the Netherlands we have Anne Frank, who wrote a diary and hid during the Second World War in a cupboard which had also a turning door. So we're inspired by a lot of these historical moments. But the creation of the world is really based on the fact that we wanted to make a world where you didn't feel at home. So because of this grey buildings, this eerie feeling, this fact that in Paul's house there's actually almost no furniture. There's nothing to make it comfortably or fun or nice. There's no safe space. That's what you feel. That's the dark tone that you feel in the scenes. And then suddenly you be at Sarah's, and her house is the first real color in the film. So the grey world is a world you want to distance yourself from, you don't want to feel safe in. And the revolution starts, and suddenly color starts dripping in. In the end, there's this big parade of people being dressed up as ugly children in very colorful outfits. So it's the grey world fighting the colorful world. And there is indeed a lot of World War II references in there, but there's also a lot of references to politics nowadays. So there's this whole press conference in which the president is constantly lying to the journalist, and like, is the media biased or is it believable, and how do you feel as a journalist about that? That's the struggle of Paul's father. And even, I mean, the camp that they're entering, you see these mattresses and the blankets. That's based on a picture of children on the Mexican border that are separated from their parents. That was a couple of years ago. So there's also a lot of reference to right now to show that we all could say safely, this is a metaphor for the Second World War. But it is also the world we're living in right now, and this could happen again. So that's a very dark perspective, but in the end, in the film, and that's also what I think, the children start the revolution and will change things. And that's the hopeful message that we're trying to give with the film.